Welcome to The Explainer. Today we're diving into a nation that is, well, on the brink. It's January 2026, and Iran is being pulled in two very different directions by some incredibly powerful forces, both from inside and out. And really, this slide just says it all, doesn't it? On one side, you have the raw, spontaneous anger of people in the streets demanding change. And on the other, the very formal, very orchestrated power of the state. These are the two competing realities that are pulling Iran apart right now.
All right, so let's start on the ground, where things are really heating up. A movement that kicked off with strikes in the markets is now sweeping across the country in what people are calling a national uprising.
You know, what's really striking about this timeline is just how fast this is all happening. I mean, look at this. In just 5 days, something that started in the capital's economic heart has shot outwards, shutting down markets, and even reaching the religious city of Qom, that's right in the clerical establishment's backyard. Now, to be clear, sources are saying this isn't quite as intense as the movement we saw after Mahsa Amini's death, at least not yet. But the sheer scale of it, this is the biggest challenge the establishment has faced in years, and we're even hearing reports of chants like death to Khamenei at some of these rallies.
And as you'd expect, when things get this intense, the human cost is, tragically, climbing. Clashes in the city of Lorestan have turned deadly. Human rights groups are reporting that live ammunition was used. The government has also confirmed its first casualty, a 21-year-old member of the Basij paramilitary force.
So you have to ask, how is the government handling all this? Well, it looks like a classic two-pronged approach. One hand is offering a kind of olive branch, while the other is coming down hard. Let's break that down. On one hand, you get this, which is pretty stunning, actually. A public admission of failure right from the top. President Pezeshkian is coming out and saying point blank that the government itself is responsible for the economic pain that's driving these protests. And this isn't just talk. They're making a massive move on the economic front. They're getting rid of this complicated currency subsidy system that the president himself called a breeding ground for corruption. The idea is to take the savings, which is a huge number, about $18 billion, and give it right back to the people. It is a huge, high-stakes gamble to try and cool things down.
But then, there's the other hand, the crackdown. We're getting reports of night raids on university dorms, students being arrested. It's a pretty clear signal that they're trying to break up this powerful new alliance that's forming between the students and the merchants on strike.
Okay, so let's zoom out for a second, because none of this is happening in a bubble. All of this domestic turmoil is playing out on a very, very tense international stage.
And just look at this. This is a snapshot of just the last few days. It's been busy. You've got this tit-for-tat diplomatic move against Canada, a massive cyber attack they just fought off, and all of this is going on while they're getting ready for some absolutely crucial nuclear talks.
And at the center of all this international drama is, of course, the 2015 nuclear deal, the JCPOA. Remember, this was that landmark agreement that basically fell apart after the U.S. pulled out in 2018, and it's put Iran's nuclear program right back in the global spotlight.
And this is where the pressure is really mounting. You've got this snapback threat from European powers, basically a way to reimpose some crippling UN sanctions. But here's the kicker. That option expires this October, so the clock is seriously ticking. And in response, Iran is threatening to just walk away from the International Nuclear Treaty entirely. It's a real diplomatic standoff.
So you put all of this together, the protests at home, the pressure from abroad, and it brings us to the big question for the year ahead. Iran is at a real tipping point, being squeezed from all sides. So what happens now? When a country is being pulled in so many directions at once, where does it go? Well, experts are basically pointing to two very, very different outcomes.
And this is really the whole shebang, right? Does all this combined pressure force Iran's leaders back to the table for a diplomatic solution? Sanctions get lifted, things calm down? Or do they just dig in their heels, leading to even more economic isolation, a harsher crackdown at home, and maybe even a full-blown nuclear crisis?
And this quote really says it all, doesn't it? The window for a peaceful resolution remains open, but just barely. Which leaves us with the one big unanswered question for today. In a nation of such powerful competing realities, which one is going to win?